I never thought that I would break free from my pain, from my past. I never thought in a million years that I would be in the situation that I was in. I had carried guilt, shame, brokenness for years. And it wasn't until I actually sat down and decided that enough was enough and I chose to heal. Listen, if you are in a space where you are feeling or struggling with the pain of your past, you are struggling to forgive yourself, to accept yourself fully, to walk in your divine calling, and to really be everything that God created for you, this video is for you. Because I'm going to be telling you my story and what I went through to help me to heal from my past and how it helped me to find self love, which is so important. So let's just dive right into the video. All right, so let's go back to circa 1995, and I'm probably dating myself, but I was around 10 during that time. And I remember summers at my grandmother's house. I have a pretty big family, although I'm a only child. My mom is one of 9 children, and my grandmother had, not my grandmother, I had 13 cousins rather. So it was 14 of us total. I remember every summer we spent time together at my grandmother's house because our parents had to work. And so it wasn't all of my cousins, but it was a good majority of us. We skated up and down the street. We asked the neighborhood guy to open a fire hydrant. We went on different excursions. My aunt would come through every single Monday in her Dodge Caravan to pick us up and take us somewhere, whether it was horseback riding or to our favorite breakfast spot. And my grandmother loved to go to the thrift store. So we were there all the time. And for us, that was amazing. We thought that that place was gold. Okay. And so I was excited every single summer to spend time with my cousins because for us, family was everything. And like I said, even my family, we always spent time together. We did things all the time. We went to carnivals and the circus and all these things. But I digress. Let's get back to the summertime. So every summer I was looking forward to it until this one particular summer, I became public enemy number one. I was called fat. I was called ugly. I was called um, everything that you could think of that might hurt your feelings as a child, maybe even an adult. um, I was told that I was adopted and that my mom found me behind a trash can. Imagine that, right? And these were coming from my cousins, people that I thought that I felt protected by, people that, and of course we were kids, but looking back, these are my cousins, and I thought they loved me and they protected me. But the things that they said to me, I remember going home one day. My mom had picked me up from my grandmother's house, and I went and I stood in the mirror when my mom went to her room. And I actually stood there and I said, So I'm looking at my face, I'm looking at my body, and I say, wow, I am fat. I am ugly. I actually started to believe everything that they were saying to me. And I wish I could say that everything stopped right after that summer, but no, it continued. It actually continued for years. I was told, we don't understand you, you talk differently, you have different friends. I just was not accepted. And so that carried over into my teenage years. So what I went through with my cousins continued through right before I was about to go to college. So you can imagine that was years and years. And so right before I was about to go to college, I met my then ex-husband. Well, he's my ex-husband now, but my then boyfriend, excuse me. And when I met him, I was already broken from the things that I had went through with my cousins and the lies that had already been told to me, and the shame that I was carrying around. And so I was already a broken person. I lacked self-confidence. I lacked self-worth, and I didn't believe in myself. And so when I met him, it was beautiful in the beginning until it wasn't. Just like with my cousins, it became, oh, you're too nerdy, you're too this. It was jokes masked, right? With it, they were to me, it was sarcasm masked with the intent, or was told that, oh, they were jokes, but they really weren't, right? We went through periods of, or I went through periods of hurt and pain, disrespect, things that I wish was different. And it happened throughout our dating life. And it was very uncomfortable. It was very um, daunting to go through these things by someone that you thought that you loved or that you thought that loved you. And so moving forward, going through that period of dating and understanding that, okay, this person this person is truly hurting me. And at that time, because I was already broken, I thought that, wow, I need to hold on to this person because even though they're doing this to me, they're giving me a little bit on the back end, right? So that little bit of good that I thought was there, that was the people pleaser side of me, right? That was I am going to hold on to this, the codependent side of me, the person that felt like I would never find anyone again. And mind you, I was 18 at this time when we were dating. So fast forward, we decided to get married. And like I said, I wanted to make it work so badly because I did not see myself um, with anyone else, because I could not see past myself or what the lies that had already been implanted in me. So I had gotten to a place where I felt like I can change him. I can change the situation. It's going to get better. Holding on to something, continuing to hold on to something, even though it was not in alignment, it wasn't serving me. So, again, we got married and I was excited. I had my first daughter. And when I went through um, having my first daughter, I actually went through really bad postpartum depression. And being a newlywed and having our problems already with communication and all the things, and already dealing with my own emotional wounds in my past, I was struggling. And because I struggled with my own emotions, my ex-husband did not know how to handle my emotions because he didn't know how to handle his emotions. So he'd say mean things, he would say things that were just not nice, and it didn't help my situation and my emotional state. And so we separated, and then we found ourselves back to each other, and we had our other three girls. And so things were nice for a little while until they weren't again. And then somehow, it was at a point where I felt like, okay, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I remember sitting on a call with our therapist, and it just wasn't a good call. And I think at that point, I realized that all the pain, the hurt, the shame, I no longer wanted to carry those things. I no longer wanted to feel like I was in a situation where I was doing all of the work and that the other person wasn't. I wanted to make sure that I understood that my life was worth more. And I think what helped me to get to that point was I was sitting on the sofa, and I do apologize for going back, but I was sitting on the sofa. I had gotten my kids down to sleep, and this was after we went through our divorce. And I was sitting on the sofa crying, and I said, well, God, why am I here? Why did I go through this? This is not the vision I had for my life. This is not what I wanted for my life. And I was crying and crying and crying. And I remember God telling me, just whisper so sweetly in my ear, daughter, why can't you see yourself the way that I see you? Listen, I don't know about you, but when you sit down and you really ask God questions, He will answer you. And that hit me like a ton of bricks because I realized at that point that I was not seeing myself through the lens in which God saw me. I was looking at myself from the perspective of everyone else and how they perceived me, not the woman that God created me to be, not the powerhouse, not the person who has gifts and talents and abilities. I had dimmed my light. I had shrunk so far down because I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to feel um, the hurt and pain that I felt from other people or the people that were around me that I thought loved me so dearly. right? But I had to go through this journey. I had to go through this. I had to understand that there's a transformation on the other side of my guilt, my shame. There's a transformation, there's healing, there is joy, there's fulfillment, there's peace that surpasses all understanding. These are things that I had to realize, even though during that moment it was difficult, right? And I had to take this journey. These are things that I work with my clients, my coaching clients, on this framework. And I'm actually going to tell you about three things of the framework, that I go over with my clients. And these are three things that help me specifically in my journey to get back to a place of wholeness. It took a lot to get here. And I thank God for where I am, and thank God for everything that I actually went through. And I believe that everything that you're going through in your life is meant for it to happen for a reason, because when you go through things, you end up allowing God to move in other people's lives in such a way. Your testimony, your message becomes a breakthrough for somebody else. Somebody else is healing. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the three things that allowed me to go through my healing journey, to go through the pressure, to become the diamond. Listen, I need you to put in the comments, I am a diamond. Because guess what? When you go through pressure, you go through that period of stretching, you go through that fire. On the other side of that, you will come out shining like a diamond. No longer will you allow anyone to invalidate you. No longer will you need anyone's validation. No longer will you shrink yourself, dim your light, walk on eggshells, or allow anyone else to tell you who you are. Okay? You will release this pain, this guilt, this shame, this hurt, whatever it is that you are struggling with today. And I'm going to tell you the three things that actually helped me. And I'm looking at my notes. So, number one, I chose to forgive, even when it was hard. And I'm going to say I chose to forgive me first. I had to forgive myself for the decisions that I made that ended me up in that space that I was in with my cousins, with my ex-husband, and with anyone else in my life that came along. I had to forgive myself because in that moment I made decisions based on the information that I had at hand. So I forgave myself for the things that I knew that I could have done differently, but it's okay, right? We live and we learn. I had to forgive others. I had to forgive my cousins, my ex-husband, and other people that were in my life. I had to forgive them because if I walk around with bitterness, it's not helping anyone around me. And it actually is unhealthy. Okay. I had to release that from my heart so that I can move forward clearly and in a space of wholeness, right? So number two, I had to reconnect with God, and I found myself in Him. Listen, I grown up being on the youth usher board. I was a praise dancer. I was all the things in church. I was in the church plays and all the things, and I had a surface level relationship with the Lord until I went through my divorce, until I went through that trauma. Somehow God finds a way to bring you back to Him. And it may be the most uncomfortable thing in the world, but it is for your good. So I took time every single day, and it doesn't take a lot. I took time every single day to just just to submit myself to Him through prayer, through meditating on His word, His scriptures, and what He says about me and how He sees me. I had to get into a place in a space of quietness so that I can hear from Him for wisdom and clarity on how to move forward in my life. Okay. I stopped seeking validation from other people because the only validation that I needed was from the Lord. I started to recenter God in the middle of everything, whether it was my business, my home, my parenting, taking care of me. God became the center of everything for me. Everything. Okay. Number three, and this is a big one. I had to set boundaries and start putting myself first. When you go through things in life and you are in a place of brokenness, when you are lacking self-confidence, self-worth, and all the things, you tend to not have boundaries. You may have some, maybe not even at all. And I'm gonna tell you, I didn't have any boundaries. I was the people pleaser because I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, because I didn't want any backlash from anyone. So I would do and say things to make it appeasing and accommodating for others. Not anymore. I would run myself ragged doing so much for other people while my cup was empty. You hear me? It was empty, bone dry. Okay. So I had to set healthy boundaries for the people around me. And that was to protect my peace. It wasn't to be mean, and this wasn't to be vindictive, but it was to set the tone for my life and to protect my peace. I know you've heard multiple times, if it is costing you your peace, it is costing you too much and it's not worth it. Learn to say no without explanation. Okay. Take your power back. Take your power back. And that's what I had to do. It is definitely a game changer. Sometimes you got to sit down and write a list of people that you feel like drain you, people that you are constantly saying yes to, and essentially saying no to you. So understanding that putting yourself first is not selfish. It means putting on your oxygen mask first so that you can take care of the other people around you. Okay. So listen, I'm going to give you 3 different things that I know that you can do today, okay, to move into a place of healing. And these are 3 things that I work with my coaching clients on, okay? And I want you to implement these today, whether you want to do it today or just take it over the course of the next few days, right? I want you to write a letter. Write a letter, even if you don't send it to anyone. But think of someone in particular that may have hurt you. And I want you to release the emotions you've been holding on to. Because a lot of times when we put pen to paper, it allows that release that we've been bottled up, that we've been holding on to. It allows you to release that in the most epic way. Number 2, I want you to spend some intentional quiet time with the Lord. Okay. Even if it's just 5 minutes every day. Read your Bible. Understand how God sees you. In the Bible, he said that you are beautifully and wonderfully made. Okay? Your gifts will make room for you. All right? There's things that are stirring up on the inside of you that need to come out. I'm waiting for you. There's something that you have that I need. So in order to get to that place, you got to reclaim your power. You have to stand on God's word and who he says that you are so that you can come up, so you can be confident, strong. You can release all the things, release those people that are no longer aligned, people that you've been holding on to that no longer serve where God is taking you or align with where God's taking you. Okay? And then third, I want you to ask yourself, what am I tolerating? I just said that. What am I tolerating that no longer serves me? Write a list, okay? Create a boundary this week. Just start with one and then build upon that and implement it, okay? So listen, if I can do it, I know that you can do this. I know it, okay? Listen, if any of these things, if you're struggling with any of these things, specifically, I'll say with forgiveness, because that's a really big one. That's a really, really big one. I want you to go down and I want you to go in the description box below. And I put my free forgiveness blueprint workbook down in the down in the comments section. Okay. I mean, let me go back. Download my free forgiveness blueprint. It's a free workbook and it's a step-by-step guide to help you to release anything that you're holding on to, anything that is keeping you stuck, and helping you to clear your heart and to forgive yourself and others around you so that you can move forward in a space that is aligned with where God is taking you. All right. So you can either go to the description box, or go down in the comment section and say, send me the workbook and I'll send you the link for it. Okay. Listen, if you are in any of these spaces, if you are hurt, if you are holding on to hurt, pain, any of these things, and my story resonated with you, please share it. Please share it with anyone that you know that needs to hear this. And if you want to work together and you know that you need help along your journey, I do free clarity sessions, free clarity calls. All right. Go down in the description box and you can book a call with me and we can talk about where you are, where you want to be, and how I can help you to get there. Okay. All right. So, to the next time, I'm Stacy Crawley and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.